welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. Welcome. Today, I want to talk about judging others and self-awareness and the freedom that comes with letting go of judgments. I don't know if you knew this, but I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. And I'm jealous of you. These are all the thoughts that like go through my head when I'm interacting with other people. And I think it makes me a very judgy person. Um, I I was sitting in my meeting this morning, and while somebody was talking, this was the topic. The topic was about judging other people and how um, I'm not eligible to judge other people. Like, why am I judging other people? Do I think I'm perfect, that kind of thing? And it's interesting because as I sat and I thought about it and I was listening to somebody else talk, I noticed I was judging that person while I was listening to them, and I was focused on the topic of judging. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is just deeply seated inside of me to compare myself to other people. And I'm being gentle with myself. I know that everybody's got character defects, and this is one of mine. Um, but and I also know that it comes from an inferiority complex. Like that's what's behind it. And it's something that has th that I've carried with me my whole entire life. So this is the universal truth about being human, that we all have some sort of brokenness, that we are all sick in some way. And I was listening to the church sermon. I've been starting to go to church, and I wasn't able to go on Sunday because I had too much going on. I had a visitor coming and I needed to finish cleaning because the house was in shambles because we just moved, and I'm an overachiever, so everything had to be perfect. Anyway, I listened to the sermon instead last night and I was taking notes. And one of the things that stood out to me was the pastor said that we are all fellow sinners. And what that translated to me was we're all sick in some way. And that's something that I hear in sobriety and that has always stayed with me. And it helps me so much when I get judgy, when I get angry or resentful towards somebody. It helps me to remind myself everyone is sick in some way, that my expectations of somebody else being perfect and not pissing me off are ridiculous. And so that helps me. But I just lost my train of thought. But what it also does is it makes me quietly judge people. And I don't like that about me. I don't like that character defect, but I know it's there and it can be actively working, and I don't even know it that it's happening. But it is definitely when I become aware, like mid judgment, when I become aware, it's like I level up in this emotional playing field. That judgment is masking my own insecurities. It's not revealing, like what I feel like I'm doing is revealing truths about other people that they are not aware of. That's not what's happening. I am actually covering up insecurities. So it's like this judgment is like this blanket that I feel like what I'm doing when I judge somebody is I'm pulling the blanket off of them and revealing truths about them that they're hiding, that nobody else can see. But what I'm doing actually is pulling that blanket over top of me and covering my own insecurities. So, where did this inferior inferiority complex come from? Like, this instinct to judge other people comes from a deep inferiority complex that not from me feeling superior to other people. It's because I feel inferior. I feel like I'm not good enough, like I'm not worthy, like I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, you name it. I fear of not being enough. So I compare myself to others um, in in a way of like bracing myself for my own imagined failure, if that makes sense. So I believe that these feelings of inferiority and fear of not being enough have been learned from me through my past experiences. So, past experiences, I believe, set me up to predetermine how similar situations are going to unfold for me. It's just like what I was thinking this morning. We were all talking about the dentist this morning. I guess it's that time of year. Everybody's going to the dentist, maybe to use the last part of your insurance, your HSA and stuff like that before it runs out by the end of the year. I don't know, but it seems like everybody's going to the dentist. I must have heard 10 people in the past 48 hours who are going to the dentist. So, what it reminds me of how these past experiences set me up to predetermine how similar situations will unfold, meaning my past experiences with this type of person set me up to a predetermination of how my experience with this person who is of similar character, how my interaction with them is going to unfold, and likely I will feel inferior. That's where the judgment comes in. When I go to the dentist, this is what happened. I went to the dentist on, I think it was Tuesday. It doesn't matter, but I haven't been flossing my teeth, okay? There, it's out in the open. I have not been flossing my teeth. I go in and out of flossing my teeth, and right now I'm out. So I'm getting back into flossing my teeth. And so I had to get the electric scaler where the water is like super thin, terribly strong shots of water rather than just using the regular metal pick. They use this water scaler to clean your teeth. Well, my experience with the electric water scaler was terrible. The last dentist that I went to that used it. And I mean, to the point that I was so upset when she would use it because I'm just like, this is terrible. It's a terrible. Why are you using this thing when you could just be using that metal scaler thing? Anyway, it was terrible. She just put me through so much pain when she was using this electric scaler. So I go to the dentist on Tuesday and my new lady, I don't know, my dental hygienist is she's like, "Okay, well we're going to have to get the electric scaler out." And I'm like, "No." And I could feel like just like my panic set in like I don't want to ruin my day. It's terrible. It's so painful. So, but all I said to her was, okay. And I said, you seem like a really nice person, but I hate your job. I hate what you do. So she kind of laughed a little bit. And she got started, but the right before she got started, she said, "All I want you to do is focus on your breathing, breathing through your nose." So I thought, okay, well, that I know how to do. I know how to do that from all of my meditation and stuff for my program. So I'm just going to focus on my breathing. And she got started. It didn't hurt. The whole thing. It didn't hurt. I focused on my breathing. I don't remember a moment of that experience that was painful. And when she was done, I said, "What you have taught me today is that number one, that lady, the last one who used the electric scaler on me, had no business holding that thing in her hand because she didn't know how to use it. And number two, don't let your past experiences predetermine how a similar situation will unfold." And then this was the topic today. And I just thought, that's why I judge. It's like that mental prejudgment becomes unfairly projected onto the next experience or the next interaction with somebody of similar character. So judgment really is a defense mechanism. I judged that lady, sorry, my dental hygienist. I judged my dental hygienist who had the electric scaler in her hand before I even let her use it on me. And I just assumed that she was going to put me through a bunch of pain. And she didn't. She didn't. And not only did she not put me through pain, the fact that she told me to focus on breathing through my nose actually made the experience so much more soothing for me. So if I can mentally label someone, then that makes my entire experience different before the experience even starts, if that makes sense. So, how do I get this self-awareness about judgment? Because typically, I mean, always, I wouldn't say typically, always, when I'm judging or about to judge, I have no idea that that's what I'm doing or getting ready to do. So the first step is noticing. I'm judging this person right now. And that's what happened this morning when I was listening to somebody share in my meeting. I thought it's like I snapped into focus and I was like, I am judging this person right now. And I felt ashamed. I felt ashamed. That's what it makes me feel like. So, but that awareness interrupts the autopilot that I'm on of comparison and fear, because it's also fear that I'm not going to measure up. Um, Sometimes it doesn't even make sense. Like, what am I trying to measure up to? Especially in a meeting, what am I trying to measure up to? Do I want to sound more intelligent than the other person, or what is it? But for some reason it happens, and sometimes maybe I don't need to know what fear is underneath it. I just need to catch myself judging. Um, I do think that it's important to understand maybe not the specific fear that is related to the judgment, but what the defect is. The defect is that I'm judging, and it is because of my pride, insecurity, envy, fear. Whichever one it is, it's me feeling insufficient. And so being able to do that and noticing that I'm judging shifts the focus from from looking for the other person's flaws, like trying to pull that blanket off of them and reveal their flaws, and changes the focus from that to focusing on my own inner work. So reframing my judgment into a compassion, really, a self compassion. So if everyone is sick in some way, including me, then judgment softens into understanding, understanding of myself that I've got still got a lot to work on, understanding of the other person. Like, this person is, like the pastor said, my fellow sinner. This person, this other person is my fellow sick person, if you want to put it in terms of my sobriety program. We all act from wounds that we didn't choose in our lifetime. And that is humbling to know. And it would be nice if we're all able to self-reflect and see what actions that we're doing that are born from wounds. But it's hard to do that, especially when there's emotion. It's emotional. Like, because we're acting from wounds, it's emotional, and that emotional side of it is masking that the behavior is even happening. So what I can do, though, is notice the act of judging, period, like keep it on the surface. Notice the act of judging. I'm doing it. I'm either comparing myself or I'm thinking of how what are they lacking? Like trying to find a flaw in somebody. And I know why I'm doing it because it makes me feel better. When I was working and I had to do public speaking, the the thing that helped me the most in public speaking was to look out into the audience. I mean, you can judge me if you want from that, speaking of judging, but I look out in the audience and look at their flaws. I had to, because I felt so unworthy. I wasn't all of the things. I wasn't smart enough, pretty enough, um, dressed well enough, um, able enough. I had so much anxiety, and I felt so much like I was being judged, even though all I had to do was stand up there and talk about something that I was the expert of. But I just couldn't do it without uncontrollable anxiety. We're talking like my mouth was shaking, my face was shaking, my voice was shaking. Um, I couldn't do it in the beginning without looking out into the audience and looking for other people's flaws. I'm sorry, but that's what I had to do to fight my own anxiety. But over time, I was able to start looking out into the audience through a lens of shared humanity. And it takes a lot of work. I listened to a lot of public speaking self-help books, a lot of them, because I just needed to work on my self-esteem. There's a guy in my meeting every morning who talks a lot about self-esteem, but that role of self-esteem, um, is important in reducing judgment. Healthy self-esteem leaves little room for comparing ourselves to others. So when I feel grounded and secure in my program, and when I am focused on my purpose, then I don't need to measure myself against others. And it's okay to feel whatever I feel. When I do this podcast, if I am focused on my recovery and sharing my experience, strength, and hope, I am not measuring myself against anyone listening. But I can tell you that before I hit record, there's a whole lot of self-esteem challenges before I hit record because I've got these stories in my head and I'm comparing myself to you who are listening, and I don't even know you. I mean, I know many of you, but there's most of you I don't know. And yet I can still compare myself and think I'm not good enough. So there is a gift that exists in recognizing that moment of judgment that I'm judging, and that noticing it is an invitation to grow. And it's an invitation to grow softer, not harder, to become more vulnerable, to become honest, to become humble, to become connected to the person that I am judging. So when I can surrender judgment, I make a lot more room for myself to accept who I am and build genuine relationships with people and just strengthen that serenity that I'm always trying to hold on to, that serenity that I finally know in sobriety. So that's what I've got for you. Thank you so much for listening today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.